Okay. Um. All right. So to begin with, I haven't actually looked at the chart. So let me just go start with Euro USD. Okay. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning from whatever time you'll be listening to this recording from. Um, we're going to be looking at the weekly outlook for this week. We had an amazing Friday. Everything was just dropping. So I do hope that this week we're getting into would be equally amazing. From Monday, although it started out quite slow, but somehow it felt as though someone opened up the window of heaven and just poured out all of the peeps. So I actually anticipate a beautiful week this week if everything remains equal. So that said, we're going to begin by looking at Euro USD, the base currency pair that we always trade. I know most of us on here don't trade it, but just in case there are good things to look out for, I'm gonna map it out as well. So we know how we do. We always go to the higher time frame to have an idea of the overall trend. Now, if you just mere looking at this um, pair right now, I can say that this Euro USD might actually keep coming down because, as you can see, it's broken the previous low, previous high, and it's going back to the structure level. So if it breaks this, I'm sure it's just going to drop even much more. So first of all, what do we want to do? We first identify the highest point, lowest point, and important structure levels and demand zones that may be on the chart. So by doing, how do we do that? Using this, the horizontal two. So that's where we are now. This is where we are heading. This is where we've been. Okay, somewhere here, or maybe here. Okay, so now it's an important area. They are important areas. Why? Because there were multiple tests, or they were structural areas. By structure, what do we mean? Price broke out of that zone and then we tested it. So resistance became support. So if you look left, you see that it was an area of resistance for price. It tested it. If you go even um, back more, you see a reaction there, another reaction here. So that means that that level was an important level to for price to look at. Now, if you come down, you see that price tested this area and kind of form a lot of action on here. So it's an important area to look at. Also, there are other areas, in between here, but we'll get to them as we progress. So if you look left as well, you see price kept testing that this zone that we identified, and the reason why we picked this is because it's the lowest point of the market where the price got to. Where we anticipate price may get to if it continues to come down. This would be our final TP. Unless if we look at the monthly, there are other areas. Okay, yeah, they are. After that, you still see some important areas. Yeah, I would presume. Yeah, yeah, important areas here. But it's all good. Price hasn't gotten down there yet, so let's just deal with where we are right now. So now we know that this may actually come this far, but in order to be on the safe side, because we know how it is, price support and resistance is not really a line per se. It's more a zone, more a level. So we always like to capture this as a level, just to pretty much put things in perspective, just in case they decide to, um, misbehave and turn back. So I'm expecting this to come way down here. If you look at it, I'm capturing the body and the wicks as well. It could turn at the body, it could come all the way down to this wick as well. So that's why I'm boxing up everything. So that's on the weekly time frame. If you look below as well, you see a kind of reaction around here. This was kind of like a pullback, a flag before you saw that move to the upside. So I could capture that as well because price could get there and then move out of it. Now, if you look left, you see reaction here, see tests happening, although there's a lot of mess going on here, but at least we can see some form of reactions. Even when we go back, you see that happen. That. So that's to say that it's an important area to look out for. This may be a good area as well when we break it down to the lower time frame. Although you see one candle here, but if you go to the smaller time frame, you might see much more than that. So if I capture this, you would see how it coincides with other levels, because there's a reaction here, there is a reaction here, reaction, go left, go back, you see reactions. So that's the good thing about capturing things on the higher time frame. You kind of see the overall direction of the markets, but when you break it down, go down to the smaller time frame, you see them much more, although noisier, but then you can still see much more reactions than what you see on the higher time frame. I would pick this one as well. Why? Because it stands out. If I go down to my smaller time frame, to the daily time frame, now I can easily see, let me take this out of the way, I can see that this is headed here. What does that tell me? It means that this may in fact get to this level, and if it gets to this level and breaks this level, where is it going to? It's going back to this level. Yep, it's going down to this level. If it breaks that level, where is it going to? Going down to this level. But some things can happen before it does that. It could go back, pull back and all of those things. So when it pulls back, there are levels the price are going to get to before it coming down. So those levels, should be identified. Example, this one, you look at it, this is the previous low. So if price decides to pull back, where is it going to go to? It's going to pull back to the previous low before continuing down. Normally it does that. Every time it pulls back to the previous low, before coming down. If it's on the way up, it does previous high before going back up. So that's something for you to look into, put into consideration. If you see something similar here, does that comes back to the previous low before continuing. So the same thing here, goes back to the previous low, though it jumps out a bit, through a pin, but continue to the downside. So those are things to put into consideration if you're trying to look for pullbacks in the market. Always look for previous low, because if price went there before, it's probably going to get there again. So right now I could decide to adjust this and put this up here. Why? Because it's much more, although this is a demand zone, but because I see a little more reaction on this side, so I could keep that there. I'm not saying this is going to go back up. I still believe this is going to keep coming down, but just in case, just to capture them properly. So now, right now, this particular trade right here, this is what I'm looking for. I'm waiting for this to come all the way back to down here, and then probably, bounce up to this point before finally dropping back down, breaking it and coming back down. That's what I think might happen. So it's going to break that, because you can clearly see, what it did. It kind of consolidated on this point. Consolidations normally happen sometimes at reversal point. When the trend is trying to reverse, and you start seeing something like that. If you look earlier, like we saw, it's been going up. So when it was ready to reverse, it did that. Yeah, it did that consolidation and then dropped. One more thing that may happen that I've just noticed right now is this continue to do that, then doesn't drop, as I've said. Instead decides to go back up, and where would be the likely place it will get to for it to form what I think it might be forming. Let me put that out, put that so that we can see it clearly. So it might do that, come back up, or just do some form of consolidation. Then probably, yes, you got it. So it might actually jump all the way from here back to this point, before finally dropping back, you know, to this point, and then some form of consolidation or whatever it does. But at the end of the day, what we think this might happen here would be a head and shoulder. So how do we trade that? Same pattern. Wait for a breakout and a retest, and then you can take it to the next level. And where would the next level be? The measurement. If you're being bold, you can measure it all the way from here, from the top, the wick down to this point. That's been very bold. Then you drag it from there down here. Whoa, look at that. Fantastic. Where did it get to? Where we identified before. See, the key support place. We didn't even know it was going to do that. We just measured, and that's where it got to. So this means this is where this guy may get to. If indeed it's going to do a head and shoulder, before dropping. Normally we know what head and shoulders are. They are reversal patterns. They are put in when the price is trying to go on opposite directions. Another reversal pattern could be your double top, or maybe some form of consolidation, or a V top. There's a V bottom, there's a V top as well. So that may happen. That's one thing that could happen. Or, like we said before, price could just ignore the head and shoulder and then just jump up and then does that and then keep coming down. Could just do that. But the whole idea, that's not really the point. The point is to be able to know when to enter the market. You don't jump in when you see the thing start coming down. You need to have some trading rules for you to enter. Some of it will look at today at the end of this outlook. So for this one, I am waiting for price to come to this. How many pips already made its move? So I may just say forget about this. How many pips remaining? Yeah, just 50, 60 pips. We just say forget about it, unless you just want to look for a flag. You want to look for a flag or a pennant or whatever. If you just want to, because definitely it's probably going to do either when it opens, it may open with a gap or something, or it may just continue. If it continues, maybe probably look for a flag and then scalp it down to the next level, to this level. Personally, I won't even bother trading this. I'll just look for some entry strategy, something to take me back to this stop, because I think it may go back here. If it does go back, and remember, I won't sit down on it till it gets here. I could take out my profit as it goes. Why? Because you know how it is. It may turn at any point. So once it gets to a particular level or zone, you pick your profit, wait for it to go to the next zone. If it crosses that zone, breaks out of that zone, or you move your stop loss into profit to protect yourself, just in case it comes back, it doesn't kick you out at a loss. So with that said, I'm not taking this trade until I see it clearly get to this level, or I see it break out of this level, or I see when it gets here, I see a good confirmation to take it, trade it to the upside. Let me see how many pips from here to that. Okay, yeah, it meets my standard 147 pips, 147, 150 pips, yeah. So that's good enough. So I can take from here back to, because that's obviously where it's going to get back to. Remember, it breaks, support becomes resistance. So we're going to see that happen. This is a major structure right there. So just put that into consideration for trading. So USD, Euro USD. The next one I want to look at is the USD card. This is my baby right here. Just been showing some other guys on the market catch up last Friday before I retired. I went to bed. So I'm really looking at this trade. This has messed us up a number of times, but I still have hopes, high hopes, that this may eventually bring in good rewards. So how do we trade this example? Chart this same way. Look for the points where the price has got into, it's been then where it is. Same principle, same thing. So sometimes when you are doing this, it might seem as if you're having too many lines, but remember you're on the higher time frame, so it's really okay. It's really okay. Lines cannot be too many on the higher time frames, because when you bring them down the lower time frames, they start to have spaces. Start seeing them maybe 100 pips or 200 pips apart. So that's good. I'm capturing this because this is where price is, and it's like this is a structure. Price broke that, retested, it retested it again, then dropped, and kind of did that retest. It's probably like a fake breakout or something if you're looking at it on the higher time frame. But when we bring it down to the lower time frame, we start seeing some good actions. So I'm going to bring it down to the daily. So right now, some of us, I know we did this, we took this trade, this head and shoulder here, we took it, and then after that it formed this other head and shoulder. So that head and shoulder merged into this head and shoulder. Some of us took this trade as well. We took it all the way down here, and then we wanted to we kind of saw the same thing happening here. Did that. We saw the same thing happening here. For some reason, it broke out like we expected and gave us only how many pips before going crazy? Gave us just 88 pips and then went crazy, went back down. Although, if we had stayed in, remember, okay, yeah, it would have kicked us out because your stop loss would have been here. But for those people that are bold enough to put their stop loss here, they'll probably still be in the trade. But when you take head and shoulders, your stop loss will be on your first shoulder, any of the shoulders, or the other stop loss, if you want to take it, to be on the head. But I wouldn't put this stop loss on the head. That's too wide. The risk to reward is too ridiculous. So for this one, what I'm seeing here is a head and shoulder forming again. Not very very fantastic looking head and shoulder, but we can clearly see it. The rule of head and shoulder is to at least you can clearly see the head pointing out, and then the shoulder. See a shoulder. It doesn't have to be straight. They can be slant, they can be declined or inclined. It can be something like this, no problem. Or you can see something like this. There's no one rule fits it, as long as they are clearly showing you your head and shoulder. So that's how you look for head and shoulders. Yep. So you can see something like this happen. Yep. So that's the head. So you can see that happening. This would say that we've already begun the move. This is what this might say, that the move has already begun. So what we'll probably be waiting for now is a retest for this to come back down and test this. So, but if it's the other way around, is this reclined, then it means that this hasn't actually started, hasn't broken out yet. So we won't always trade the breakout. It means that this hasn't broken out yet. Let me just draw that for some people that would not know what the head and shoulder is. So this is it. This would be the shoulder. And this will be the head. You can see the massive head. It's so big. So the head is so big, we can call it the headmaster. Okay, so that's the shoulder. Yeah, that's the head and that's the shoulder. So what you want to look for, you must see some form of okay, so let me clean. I don't want to have too many lines. Now, one other thing, I think I'm going to do a different class for head and shoulders. So I'm really looking to see something like this, an alignment. This should actually align. So I'm going to do a different session just to give us what we should be looking for in a head and shoulder. So it is this breakout that we're waiting for to happen. This thing to break out of that triangle that you can see. Breaks out, and then, so like I said, we would be waiting for a retest. So if we see a retest, then we know where this is going. This is going up, and exactly the same way we saw. This is an inverted head and shoulder. I meant to say an inverse head and shoulder. This is the main head and shoulder, but if it's inversed, puts like in a mirror form, you see this. So this is the head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder. So here would be the inverse head and shoulder. So what would be my target? My target would be from the shoulder down here. So let me capture more moves on the upside so I can find levels. So it's a level to watch. It's a level. And this is a level as well. Okay. So yeah, some level there. Okay, so if that happens, I'm waiting to see this breakout, and then now it's difficult to really tell where this is gonna be. Remember what I said, that it can be inclined. This could be it, but if that is, then it means I'll have to wait for that to happen. But if this is it, if this is my shoulder, then it means it needs to be from here, which would be make my target somewhere around here, So I'm just gonna keep this like this. Let's work with this one for now. So let's look for a retest of this zone. Then we'll take it from here to that point. If we are using this point, then this will be a perfect measurement, perfect measured move. So that's USD CAD. So the next one we want to look at is Euro AUD. I've been looking at this Euro AUD. Yeah, that has been something that we've been. Okay, let me look at Euro AUD, because we started trading that last week, thereabout. So Euro AUD weekly as usual. Yeah, I used this as an example of what happened before for this particular trade right here. Exactly the same thing that I saw here. I saw this kind of move. I saw this head and shoulder, oh, let me take this out, bring this back in. Yeah, was it this one? Yeah, I think this was okay. This was okay. Was Euro CAD that I saw? Okay, let me just bring that out so we can. That was the head and shoulder as well, by the way. But this is the one I saw. This is the one I saw. Was this one? Yeah. So saw this head and shoulder in February. That move, So that it already started, Started a long way before I saw it. Okay, so that then I saw this. I think it was at this point. I saw it at this point. I think it was at this point that I saw it. Can't remember. Somewhere around here. Okay, but anyway, that was what happened. Saw the move, and I knew it was a very fantastic move. So I sent word in for us to take it. I think a number of people took it though. I took it up to this point. I think I took it up to this point. Then I got out. I took it all the way from here to this point, and I got out. So some people stayed on up until here, but I got out. I don't think I measured it because I came in late. I don't think I measured it. Yeah, I didn't measure it, but I came in late, so I entered somewhere around here for there, but then I took it up to this point and got out. So some other people got it to the end, and then but it was a good trade. So some people didn't believe that was a head and shoulder. Why? Because they were not looking at it on the higher time frame. I think from that time, after I made that what's it called, knowledge. After I made that revelation. I don't want to call it revelation. It doesn't sound churchy. After I made that identification, a lot of people started trading, looking at things from the higher time frame. Because if you don't look at things from the higher time frame, you tend to miss a lot of things. It's like trying to looking at things from the higher time frame is like standing on a top of a very high mountain and then looking at the ground where you are where the mountain is. You will see a lot of things. You have a bed, they call it the bird's eye view of the general environment. You see the directions, so to know what to do. Because if you saw a head and shoulder forming, then you definitely know that this thing is going to keep going up till it gets to that measured level, wherever the measured level would be. You would definitely know that. So there will not be any reason for you to start. Maybe you saw like a pullback. You saw this red candle on the lower time frame, and then you're thinking it's really going down. The trend is down. Not knowing that it was just a pullback. I remember what they say: you need to trade with the trend. Yep. So the higher time frame is really, really good for you to be able to identify the trend. Where is the market going? So that whatever you do on your smaller time frame will just be in tandem with what is happening on the higher time frame. Unless you're a scalper, then you just jump in for the 10 and 20 pips, 50 pips, and then jump out. All right. So that was the basis for me looking at this as a double head and shoulder, which is maybe going up. But again, it's not set on stone. It could be a misrepresentation. It could do whatever it wants to do. But not a problem. We would still trade it. We will only take it a position only when we get a confirmation. So this is this was another head and shoulder. So that shoulder, see that shoulder, and I don't know if this is complete yet, but not a problem. I wouldn't even bother because I'm only taking what I need to take. So, but if this is true, this might be another head and shoulder forming somewhere. But let me just mark it out first of all. So we have that. We have that. It's just so much weak, so many shadows all over the place. I don't like too many shadows, but just gonna work with it. Okay, so I'll work with that. Work with that. If you see what I'm doing, I'm actually looking at left and right. So I look left before I see this, I see that there's a touch here, there's a touch here. I look left to see if there are touches as well. Just pretty much put it around the zone. I could have put it here. I know that when I go down, I may see more zones. Like this is a key area to pick. Why? Because you see some reactions here as well, which also coincide with the supply zone. So yeah, on the smaller time frame they would look bigger, but right now they might seem the space might be small. Let me see how many pips apart this is. Okay, so that is, see what I mean. So that's like 100. Okay, so that's it. If you look at this clearly, this might actually look like it's trying to form a double a head and shoulder again, right? I know what head and shoulders are. They are reversal patterns. Yep, in the market they put reversals in place. So they help to reverse the market, I should rather say. So it means that this may actually be happening, right? This like the same thing we saw in the Euro USD earlier. So that may actually be happening. Then for this to go back up, and then what happens for this to come right back down. Let's see if this thing would form again. If I pick it from the top, what is it gonna do? Kind of just book it. Let me just pick it from here since I'm here. Okay. So if this is the neck, then it means my TP will be somewhere around here. Yeah, somewhere around here, maybe somewhere around here. This area. Okay, and it's even a supply is demand zone as well. The demand zone. Okay, it's not so bad. So I'll keep my eyes open on that. So I'll put that there just to kind of watch things. So if this is a head and shoulder forming, then this is what is going to happen. This is gonna drop down. Let me see how many more pips it has to go. It has a long way to go. Yes, it has 100 plus pips, so I'm going to look for some good entry on the smaller time frame. Then I'll write it down. I know I've already identified my entries on other. Yep, I've already identified my stuff here. So if it breaks this, I'm coming down. But let me bring it down and write that out. Bring that out so you can see what I'm looking at. I'm gonna put that here. Why am I putting this here? Because it is where price is at this point in time, and it also happens to be a supply, a demand zone. This is another demand zone. Demand zones are where big candles, large candles, break out of a zone. See, this large candle comes in and then broke out with a large candle as well. See, this large candle came in, broke out. So this is an example of a demand zone, supply zone where large candles break into a zone. So like this, look at this. This would be a supply zone right now. See, even two key supply zones. Look at that. Look at that. Yep. So those are the areas to put into consideration. So what am I looking for right now? I'm waiting for this market to come all the way down to this area. To come all the way down to this area, then I'll begin to look at my entry. Oh, okay. Either I look for some good entry back to the top, or I just let it play out. So again, it's a head and shoulder. You may just let it do its thing, probably a few weeks. Let it play out. If you really want to trade the head and shoulder for what it is, just let it go back to. Sorry. If you really want to trade it as the head and shoulder it is, let it go back all the way back up here. Forget about the 400 pips, and then when it comes back and then retests here, breaks out and retests here. Let me just do that no more way, and then you can now go for the kill. So the kill would be how many pips? Let's see that. Yes, double what you would have let go. 800 pips, 836 pips. But that's not to say you can't trade 400 pips. 400 pips is a lot of pips to trade, to lose. So what you would want to do, you already have your zones mapped out. All you need to do is just to ride it back up. Just look for good entry opportunities. We know what we look for. We're going to look at them when we, after this session right now. I'm going to just do a little bit of training on that area, or how to enter, what to look for when to enter the market. So look for your entry opportunities on the smaller time frame, then and then you can ride it all the way back to the top. But already you know where this is supposed to get to, so you wouldn't be trading blindly. You already know that what you want to look for is around where the market may turn back, will be around somewhere around here. So when you're here right now on the smaller time frame, this is where you want to take the market back to. Don't expect it to take you back up here, because you've already anticipated that this may actually be a head and shoulder. It's forming it. Once it bounces off here and it keeps going back, then just have it at the back of your mind that it may actually get to this point and then begin to crumble. You see, this went up but through a week. Let me see how much that week was, but I wouldn't even want to take that risk. Yeah, about 70, 80 pips. I wouldn't take that risk, so let it go. So ride it back to this place, TP, and then you can ride it back down. You can actually take double, from this trade, pick double. So ride it up and ride it back down. Now you also have to be careful. It may come down here, all the way as it's coming, comes to this point, and then probably coming back, and you could be faked out. In terms of some people that have the real money could decide, I don't want this to be a head and shoulder. I want to trade this double bottom, and they can pick it. They buy this market, buy it so much that it negates the head and shoulder that we thought would be coming, and then market starts going back up. That could happen too. So you have to be careful. And also, it may be that it may even fool you to believe this is a double bottom when you normally we see double bottoms are supposed to be reversal patterns. You see them at the top or the bottom of double bottoms or double tops are reversal patterns. If you see them in the middle of a trend, it's not advisable to trade it. But some people may trade it. If you're just following, if you're just a retail trader, you may not really be able to move the market, but the market makers would be able to move the market. If they decide to trade this double bottom, there's really nothing you can do about it. So if you forgot that this was actually supposed to be a head and shoulder, you could think this is a double bottom, and then you jump in on a double bottom and only to find out that this was what breaks down, and then you lose money. But then it's possible for you not to even lose so much because you would have your stop loss somewhere here. Remember, you always put your stop loss lowest low. So this would be your stop loss. This will be your stop loss, so you don't lose this market. Yep. Let me see how many pips that would be if you were to trade that as a double bottom instead of if you forgot it was a head and shoulder. So it would be how much? Yeah, just 70 pips, 77 pips. Not so bad. That's £7.70 or $7 or $70. And then when you get stopped out and it's a head and shoulder, you would have made much more than 4 times. Okay, so that's Euro odd. I'm looking for this to keep coming down all the way down here. I need my 100 plus pips again. Already started. Yes, there's my 150 pips. But whatever be the case, if it doesn't happen, obviously we know what the case is. It's going to go back up. It's going to start going back up. But I'm really looking for this to come back down. But wait for a pullback. See the things that has been happening here. It's going to correct itself. So all this pullback, have to wait for that pullback. Let's see how many pips it went back up. Okay, this went back up 70 pips. So just wait for those kind of pullbacks. How many pips was this one? Yeah, was 69 thereabout. So wait for that. Wait for a pullback because it's at the major zone now. So it's going to pull back and then probably drop again to this level. Yep. So that said, I'm going to the next pair right now. I've not looked at the okay, I'm going to try Hat Chef. This is another good one that I want us to look at. In fact, this was a pair, what's her name now, which you sent to me to help her analyze. So I did, and when I saw it was a good move, that's why I threw it out to us. And then I think it was still somewhere around here when she asked me to look at it. And then I looked at it and I saw this guy coming. And then now if you look at this, 2 things. You can see the double bottom that I told you, reversal pattern, dropping, and then puts a double bottom down here. And you saw it go back up. So the same principle. In the double bottoms are reversal patterns. Now you can see something else happening. Remember what we looked at when we were looking at the Euro CAD and it's a Euro CAD, no, Euro odd. Yeah, Euro odd and Euro USD. So almost like the same thing happening. Okay, let me map that out. Let me now show you a used trade. Map that out. Okay, so now same thing. Go to your higher time frame. Then identify market. Remember the cup of cocoa strategy that we treated a few weeks back. See what happened there. Price came back, touched it, and what did you see? Ooh, how many pips? This was massive, man. My Lord God Almighty, that's 254 pips. as a cup of cocoa. If someone was to take this trade, yep, would have been a very good win. Would have been a very, very good win. So we have that. We have this. So that's where price is at. This is the next one. Why it is because you can see reaction in these areas. So just keep that where it is. And I'm just going to go down to the smaller time frame. First of all, let me capture this. It have some significance. Okay, so I have that. Then I'll go down to my daily to kind of see, see what's happening down here. Now, so like I was saying, would you give me this pair to look at for her? So when I saw it, I actually saw it somewhere around here. Sorry, if you've just logged in, please can you mute yourself? I'm actually recording, so we would have a clear recording when you're going to watch it. So she gave me this pair to look at somewhere around here. So I then just kind of looked at it for her. And when I saw it, I saw that, man, this is going to be a really good one. Let me see. So I think it was somewhere around here, thereabout. I saw that was going to be a very good one. It was retracing, and I mapped it out. Yeah, And then what happened before we knew it? After I posted the chart, we saw this mighty drop happen. It was very good. It was a very, very good win for us. So right now, what I think may be happening right now, if your guess is as good as mine, this may actually be trying to form a head and shoulder as well. Remember, head and shoulders are reversal patterns. Double bottoms are the reversal patterns. You can clearly see it here. That drop, and then the double bottom, and then that jump. So we saw that jump. So probably the market is trying to do the same thing here. Put the head and shoulder in place, and then keep coming down. So that said, what I'm really expecting to happen right now is for this to drop probably through a week somewhere around here, and then go back up, go back to this point. Mind you, it may not look this neat. It could do some consolidation. So also you see something like this, see what happened here. Could do something like that. You never know, but just look out for this head and shoulder. So it may happen, we may start seeing some similar to that. But the way we would trade this would be to wait for a breakout of this. Okay, I need to finish that. Let it come down. So I need to see a breakout of this zone, and then a retest of that zone. Very, very key. If you want to trade it strictly head and shoulder without worrying about all of this part, then that is what to look out for. Now, where do we get our target? Very good question. Same principle. Measure from your head to your shoulder, and then bring that to, although we didn't identify other zones, but if you look at this, in fact, it's actually a good zone to look at. See, touch zone, reactions. So it's a good zone to look at. So indeed, that may happen, but then that doesn't mean it may not turn before then, because you can see some other zones here, some other levels here. It may even turn at the supply zone, demand zone. Where is that inverted? Okay. Can you zoom out? Okay, let's zoom out. No, this is zoom out here. Okay, I see what you mean. Okay, from the other side. Inverted. Nah, I wouldn't call that an inverted. If you mean this one, if you mean this move here, let me see if I get you correctly. This is what you mean. That move there, right? This, and then that. Is that what you mean? This move. Yep, is that what you mean? With that. Okay, yeah, exactly. Because it's the rules of the head and shoulder is that they must be in trend. Let me show you what I mean. They must be in trend. Okay. Where are we now? Where are we? Okay, let me go down. Was it? Was I here? Yes, this is where I was. So they must be in trend, like this head and shoulder. I must see something like this. You know, this move. Yeah, this move to happen. Then that move forming a shoulder, a pullback, and then a jump. So a rally, a pullback, a jump. Then the other, it will form a head by coming back to either that neck or maybe falling a little bit, you know, then either falling a little bit or falling short of it, and then go back to that level or maybe somewhere close to it. But there must be a clear significance, you know, something like that. So if it's coming like this, in contrast, if it's doing this, if it's coming like this and it does this, that's not a valid head and shoulder. Why? Because this is not the trend, you know. So if it's coming this way and it does this, it's not a valid head and shoulder. So it needs to be coming from down. Then remember what we said is a reversal pattern. So it's bullish, so it's trying to become bearish. The other one too, the inverted would be bearish, trying to become bullish. So that's the rule of the head and shoulder. Although there are some places where it plays out like that, you know, it does that, but you wouldn't want to do. Remember what happens when you don't follow rules. You know, follow the rules, even though it doesn't work out. At least you know you follow the rules. But if it works out to your favor, you know, so yeah, you're right. When you zoom out, you clearly just see that it's not a giant inverted head and shoulder, although it looks like it. But as if this was the case, if this was coming down, if this move this move here was on this other side on the reverse, we saw it coming down, then I would have said, okay, this is a head and shoulder, an inverted head and shoulder, but this move is actually going up. So yeah. Okay, so for this one, I've messed up my chart. Okay, we'll bring it back up. Get this out of the way. Get this out of the way. Yeah, so now this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. This is happening. So I'm waiting for this to happen. So now I'm gonna wait for this to come down, to touch this. How many pips? It may not even come down, it just throw. Let me just turn from where it is, but I'm not bothered. Let me see how many pips it got. About 12 pips. So you can look for an entry now to ride it back to the upside. Again, just like we've looked at on the Euro odd as well. You already know where this is going. So there's on no account must you be thinking that this is going to be a bullish that's going to take you all the way up here. You know, if you follow the rule would definitely tell you that this indeed was a bullish movement, and it's probably going to put in a head and shoulder here just to become bearish. So I'm more my bias is more to the downside. This is what is going to happen. My bias is more to the downside. So even though I'm going to be trading this, I'm going to be buying this market, this area, I won't be buying it for too long. I will just buy it within these levels, you know, within these levels. So that's one side of looking at it. So the another thing could happen. It could just keep coming down. It could just break this, because this is a key structure level. By structure, you already know what we mean. There's a breakout of that zone and there's a retest of that zone. So that makes that to become a structure. And you always also hear that you know, support becomes resistance becomes support. So that is an example, a definition of what structure is. So broke out and so resistance became support. So what are we doing now? Well, it jumped up and then it's coming down now. So we're waiting for this to go back up, and then it may just throw a pin, it may just act as though it's going back, but throws a pin, and then, but we already know what's happening. So if you, even though you're trading on the lower time frame, this 1 hour time frame, you will not want to dwell here for too long. You know, you don't want to dwell here. All you're waiting for is this, that level. Where is it now? Excuse me. Okay, let me look for that level again. Okay, yeah. So even if you're on your lower time frame, what you're really waiting for is for this blue line. Once you get back here, confirm that. That's where we are. Let me see how many pips apart. Yep, 100 pips, 100 plus. So once you find out that the market is back here, so what do? You watch out to either get out or maybe move your stop loss in place to secure the bag, and then see what it's going to do. If it keeps going up, keep moving your stop loss, and then pick up what you need to pick up and leave the market. But I'm just waiting for 100 pips back up here. That's for CardChef. I've not looked at the GBP pairs yet. I'm just looking at the key ones that I think would be useful for us to trade. So we've looked at CardChef, looked at EuroCard. Yep, we've looked at EuroCard now. So I don't think we haven't looked at EuroCard. We've used it as an example to show the Euro odd trade, not the USD card trade. But we looked at Euro odd, so this is what we're looking at as well. Looked at USD card, so we looked at we just finished looking at US CardChef, looked at Euro USD as well. So yeah, so you just catch the recording for just to have an idea of what we looked at. Now the next one I'll be going to be the GBP pairs. Maybe okay, let me start with GU. Where are you? You guys know my best one. My best one is GA. You know, so but I'm gonna start with GU because of Didi. She was the first one to jump in. So yeah, right now let me bring this. You can see what's happening here. Sweet, isn't it? See that move right there. So right now we know that GU would probably be falling for a while. You know, GU is going to be falling for a little while because it's broken out of that trend. But mind you, you know how these things are. It may just do a bit of pullback to. Okay, let me see where it may pull back to. Before I identify this, okay, before I do that, let me just identify the zones, the levels that are present. Okay, that. Here this is. Okay. Have some really short moves. Okay. This one we're gonna have a lot of lines as well because of the short moves that this guy has been making. So permit me. Okay. So let me just let me work with this. Let this be here to capture two places. Okay, I'll just do this then. So I don't draw too many lines. Okay, so now where are we now? This is where we're at. So on the daily, we've seen that this has broken that trend line. So and it's already breaking this zone. So obviously we know that it's definitely coming down to the next zone. You know, and again, before I go on, see what happened. Same thing, double tops are reversal patterns. See what happened. That rally to the upside, and then it throws a pin. It throws a pin here, throws another pin rejection. So that's a top. Is another top. Retest that top. So that's a double top. You know, and what did you notice? It starts coming down. So reversal patterns. You may see double tops in the middle somewhere, but if you're going to trade them, those kind of strategies, you have to do it with care. Now, notice this. Double tops, triple tops, an example of reversal pattern. See that drop, and you see those triple tops happen here, triple bottom, sorry. And then what happened? Saw that rally, and now it's trying to bring it back down. So this may actually come all the way back down. Let me see how many pips we have before it gets to. So have about 1,230 pips. So this may actually come that far. So what I was going to say earlier was this: because it just broke out of that zone, that trend line, we may actually notice, who knows, it may decide to go back up to retest it. Sometimes it does that before finally going back down, So, but we would only trade it based on knowledge and confirmations as well. So that said, I'm going to delete this, and then just watch the markets. Just watch, let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. Look for confirmations. That way you will move this down here even more, just to, just in case I'm getting it wrong. So I have that in place. So if this continues, remember how it is, needs to close below. If this continues like this and there's a new candle forming, then at least I know that it has broken that structural level, structure, because you see, came back, test, broke out of it, retested it, and then bounced off. Reaction, consolidation, stuff, test. So that area is a structure level, because of that breakout and retest, structure, breakout, retest, structure. Yep. Yeah, so now I'm waiting for this to close below and then form the next candle. So even though it jumps back in, I know it's definitely going to keep coming back down. So if it comes down, my pip would be 200 plus pips. So you don't have to be afraid to, and as long as you got a good entry, you don't have to be afraid of pullbacks. Just take the whole 200 plus pips. There's really nothing on the left to prevent you from taking it. There's nothing here. It's a free fall. It's probably going to happen, all things remain equal. So yeah, another thing to also look at is the fact that, let me see on the weekly. Another thing to look at the fact that this was this is a supply zone, a demand zone that it may have to come back and test. This is demand zone. Okay, I forgot to put that into consideration. This is a demand zone, by the way. So it may actually come back here. So put that into consideration as well. Come on, yeah. So that's a demand zone. So it may come down here. And then if it breaks that again, where it's coming to the next demand zone, which would be this one. So that's another element to put into consideration. Demand zone, support and resistance, they're all in the market. You need to be able to know how to trade them. They can serve as target points for you as well. Where you can't see support clearly, you can see demand and supply zones. Now, so if that comes down, breaks that and closes below, I'm looking to take TP at this point. May just go back and retest that, and then gives me 100 pips here. If it breaks that, I can take another 100 here. Yep, take another 100 there. So, but I already know where it's going to anyway. So if it keeps breaking, this is where it's going to. And if it keeps breaking, this is where it's going to. It's gonna keep going down. Yep. Yeah, and this is the this is where it turned at. Key support. So it may come back to that support before jumping, going back up. So like someone that trades only this pair, you could just follow the story, because it tells the story. Just follow the story, wherever it gets to, you follow it there. If it turns there, you follow it back up. Yeah. So that's GBP USD. I think it's gonna come down. Like I said, it's gonna keep coming down. But if it goes up, you know what to look for. Just look for a good. If it breaks, if it what's it called now? If it retraces, I wouldn't even say you should trade to retrace. That may just be a pullback. Just let it go. It may just go back to this point, before dropping. Just do that. Or even go back to this point because it broke out of it. This point before dropping. So get a good entry. But I think this guy is coming down. It's coming down. It's definitely coming down. Okay, so my pair right now, going to my GA, see what it has in store. Where's GA? Yeah, there we go. GA. I might have to stop this soon because I don't want it to be too long. GA, because I still need to show you the other strategy before we go. Okay, cool. Yep, almost like the same thing happening. That move broke out. I don't really like this one. It looks ridiculous. Yeah, but move is a move. So it's broke out of it and then it's coming down. Again, we have to identify the levels. So let me just capture it from here. And then capture it from here. Then what else am I seeing? See that. Let it capture. Touch that. What else? I'll pick that. That. What else again? Maybe this. Okay, yeah, maybe that. Because there's a touch there, touch here, touch here, touch there. No reactions here. So where price is at the moment, could also find some form of story there too. So okay, so let's see what happens on the lower time frame. So I'll come down, get this out of the way. So right now, what I'm waiting to happen, let me bring this up because price is really at this point now. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's a zone. So what I'm waiting to happen now is for price to break out, to drop. It drops below. So zone here. It looks all messy as well, but what to do? It's my pair. So I'm waiting for this to drop all the way down for a whooping 200 plus pips. Yep, that's this guy right there. So it's back into this channel. Remember, this was the cup of cocoa we traded some weeks back. So it's back into it. It broke out, jumped up, formed that double, triple top thing, and then started coming down. So right now we want it to keep coming down. If it breaks out of this consolidation that it did, so we should see it come back to this point. Yep, so this is that one, but some of us don't really trade this because this is quite expensive to trade, but it moves well. If you can actually catch the move, it moves really good. So what I'm waiting for this pair is for this to happen. That move, and then that move. Pick that, and then if it keeps coming down, you know me, I'm just gonna let it ride, then retest again, and then let it ride to the downside. But whatever happens, it could just do this. It could just pull like this. That could happen. Very possible. Or even do this and then drop. So, and then this could just happen too. This one. So it could pull back to this level that it's gotten to before. And then come down from there. It could do whatever it wants to do, as long as you get good entry opportunities, good confirmation to be able to trade it. So that's that one. My final pair to look at before I would look at now, this is just one of the other reasons why I do this is to also show you how you can um, draw out the charts. So another thing I would do is to actually do it outside of the recording. I'll do it on my own. I'll capture as many as I can, then I'll send it all to you, whichever ones you want to. But for the benefits of just knowing how you chart it, just to look at what the key ones to look at in the market is. So that's why I do this, but I don't want it to be too long, so it doesn't get too tiring, So I'm going to look at GJ. GJ. So GJ offered some really good movement last week too. So again, see that move. Oops, sorry. See that thing. See that, even though I want to pick it from here. Yeah. See that. Yeah, so that's some action happening there. So that move, that level, this level, maybe this level, this one. How about this one? And where we're at right now, here. I picked it because, I picked it because I did a full drawing of these charts, and I noticed that they were on key levels, key psychological levels, and it had key confluences in the market. So yeah, so for this one, so that's what it is. Come down to the smaller time frame. So I'm waiting for this to break out of this zone. Is broken out of this what's it called now, trend line. So I need it to break out of this zone now, and then I would pick up it's really a funny pair because you can see there's nothing on this side at all. The next place you see something would be here. So if you're patient to trade this might actually be a very good trade. 500 pips, 580 pips for this one, So, but be careful. I think for the better thing to do, is to use smaller time frame or use your trading view so as to see it clearly, because on here, so look all, so see how it is, see how difficult it is to see the left. But if you use trading view, we should be able to give you should be able to zoom in and zoom out as you please. So, but with this, I think I can see some good levels here, but it's not really many. So I'm really looking to take this. If this is a good breakout, if this closes below and then begins, because what can happen is it could jump back up. This becomes a shadow, throws a pin, a wick, then jump back up. But if this closes below and then breaks this level as well, because it's a key structural level, I would not mind. I would trade it, take it down here. Otherwise, we're going back here, and we're going back here, and we're going back here. So that's about this pair. I will draw them all out again so I can show you. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this section. I would stop the recording now and start the second session.